Street cred. You don't have a lot of street cred, and I don't think that it's a secret. It's clear to me that you might need some STREETCRED. And today, I'm going to show you 5 ways to get it. Hello, I'm Lisa Robbin Young, and this is Creative Freedom, Empowerment for Creative Entrepreneurs, where can-do inspiration and how-to education collide to help you own your dreams without selling your soul. And bust out the sweet tea and the short sleeves. This week, I have been out and about in Bama, baby. And today, we're exploring credibility. Everybody wants it, but getting it is a different story, especially when you're just starting out. It can be a vicious circle. You need it to attract the right kinds of clients, but if you don't have clients, how do you get it? Whether you're a performing artist looking to get on a bigger stage or a thought leader trying to grow your audience, everyone who might choose to hire you wants to know that you've got the goods. And as I record this, the Edelman Trust Barometer, a well-known measure of public trust, indicates that, quote, people have shifted their trust to the relationships within their control, end quote. That means people are more frequently looking to the close ties and relationships inside their own inner circle for information and resources that they trust. The closer you are to their inner circle, the more likely they are to trust you. But it takes work to get into that inner circle. And if you're not already in the inner circle, it's harder than ever to break through. So, how do you prove you're credible when you're new, trying to reach a new audience, or when you've got a new offer? Other coaches out there talk about some very obvious basics, like having a clean, clear, functional website and email address. But I'm assuming that you're smart and you already know that Fancy Pants 1976 at sillymail.com isn't going to boost your credibility. You've got your own domain for your company or your offers. Today, we're going to go beyond the basics and look at 5 ways you can assert your credibility today and elevate yourself in the market. Number 1, believe your own hype and live up to it. You can be confident without being pushy. Your right audience wants to believe you and believe in you. Boxer Muhammad Ali said he was the greatest, even when he wasn't. And few people doubted him because he lived up to his own hype. He came to the ring fearless and confident in his own abilities. And to this day, Ali is still known as the greatest, even though there are several other boxers who are more rightfully owed that title. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying lie about your abilities. I'm saying be proud of and confident in yourself and your abilities. If you don't believe in you, why should anyone else? Speak clearly about your offers. What is it? Who is it for? And what results can they expect? If you're an artist, you're probably not resolving a pain point. You're improving lives. So how are you doing that? What are the benefits your buyer will experience? How will they feel even better? And don't forget that as an artist, you are part of the benefit. Your fans want your autograph, your fingerprint, your personal touch on their lives. That's part of why they buy from you. And I know you might think it's arrogant to think you're part of the benefit, but that's not arrogance. That's confidence. Remember, it's not bragging if it's true. And when you've won an award, garnered specific praise, or gotten results for people, it's right to share that with your prospective buyer. That's part of building credibility. Be consistent. I know I'm not telling you anything you haven't heard before. Consistency isn't very sexy, but there's nothing more sexy to your business than being consistent. Stay on message, stay on brand, keep doing it long enough, and you've trained people how to treat you. They know what to expect. That builds trust and credibility. Don't believe me? What would you think of me if I dressed like Steve Jobs every day for a week and then started dressing like Lady Gaga? And then I started wearing a hot dog costume. That lack of visual consistency would make it hard to know what I was really about. What if I talked about business strategy one day and spaghetti recipes the next? You wouldn't have clarity about what I'm really here for. I have steadily built a brand that says I'm here to help creative entrepreneurs build profitable, sustainable businesses doing what they love by not only talking about the aspects of life and business that cause creatives the most problems, but by living the life of a creative entrepreneur and sharing that journey with you. I don't talk about fashion. That's clearly not my wheelhouse. I don't talk about recipes. I mean, I can cook. I'm a damn good cook, but that's not what my business is about. My brand is about helping creatives. You don't care about my dairy-free, no-bake cookie recipe. Okay, well, maybe a small subset of my audience cares, but that's not what I'm here to teach you. We talk business. We talk about decision making. We talk about defining success on your own terms. That's what the Creative Freedom brand is about. And I'm pretty damn confident about it. So believe your own hype and live up to it in all the ways you show up. Number 2, start with what you've already done. Yep, that means collecting testimonials from people you've already worked with, but it means other things too. If you've already got great content, share it consistently. Remember, consistency is sexy. It's important to let people know what you're working on and what you've already done. Now, if you don't have much already done, curate other people's stuff. Now, I said curate. Don't go stealing other people's content and try and pass it off as your own. That's plagiarism. Share others' ideas and help promote their great work, giving credit where credit is due. When I first started online, I would critique other people's writing and opinions in my blog posts. I'd cite their original work and add my own ideas about why I thought they were right or wrong. Now, this did 2 things. It allowed me to borrow their credibility, which we'll talk more about in a bit. And it also put me on their radar. Several times the person I was writing about would reach out to me, which helped me start to build relationships with influencers. Now, if you're branching into new territory, either because you're serving a new market or you're creating something new, go back to the previous work you've done and see if there's a connecting theme that applies to a new direction. Ask for feedback, reviews, and testimonials that show that connection. Not sure what to ask in a testimonial? You're looking for their words, their verbiage that you can then use in your copy. You're also looking for before and after transformations and ways to overcome objections of potential buyers. So here are some ideas to get you started. Number 1, what problem were you facing before we started working together that led you to reach out in the first place? Number 2, what concerns did you have about working together before we began? Number 3, what has been the most helpful part of our work together? Number 4, what was it like for you to work with me? Number 5, what's the one thing you'd want someone to know about me or my work before working with me? Number 6, what kinds of people do you think would get the most out of working with me? Number 7, if you could suggest changing one thing to make our work together even better for you, what would that be? Again, this is just a starting point, designed to get you thinking about ways to let the people who already know you do the talking. Let them be that third-party endorsement of your work. For this week's bonus in the Rising Tide member area, you can download a worksheet with these and other questions to help you collect valuable testimonials for your business. Which brings me to number 3, start with who already knows you or your work. People reading testimonials and reviews want to know that you are a worthy investment of their resources. They want to know they can trust what you're saying. If this is a new offer, use testimonials that speak about who you are as a person. If this is an offer related to something that already exists, use testimonials about what it's like to work with you. If this is an offer for a new audience, use testimonials from other audiences about this work. For example, when I rolled out Overcoming Under-Earning for creative entrepreneurs, I had no testimonials about the program since it was brand new. Instead, my testimonials focused on what it was like to work with me in my other programs. My logic was that if I can get results in other programs, I'm trustworthy and reliable enough to be offering something new that is likely to get comparable results. The Creative Freedom Incubator, on the other hand, is road tested. It works. It helps business owners have profit, stability, and sustainability without having to hustle all the time. So the application page has testimonials from people that have already been seeing results in the program. If you don't have those testimonials yet, another way to build credibility is number 4, borrow the credibility of peers and influencers. A media host has already spent time and energy working to earn the trust and respect of their audience. In many cases, years have gone into creating a show or a blog that has reliable, trustworthy content, and now you get to piggyback on that reputation. So hosting you on their podcast, show, or other media outlet is often an implied endorsement for you or your work. The implication here is that because the host trusts you enough to share you with their audience can trust you. Boom. You've just built trust in record time because you got to borrow the credibility that the host already has with their audience. Now, that's why I am super picky about the books I review or the guests that I have on my show. That's my reputation on the line. Most people don't start with media placements. So let's look at something everyone can do. Cite your sources. Whether you're writing a testimonial about results you got with someone's program, or you're quoting a post or research that you found that supports your point, always cite your sources. This is the easiest way to gain credibility. That's what I did. People don't just spontaneously know things. You read something, watched something, or heard something somewhere that contributed to your learning. Cite it. Tag that person on social media if it's applicable. Just like the newbie musician who sits in on jam sessions or watches and learns from their mentors, there are already people in the world doing some aspect of what you want to be doing. Lean on them and their knowledge when you're just getting started and let their credibility boost yours. Plus, developing those kinds of relationships is not only great for you, it's great for them too. Don't just quote or reference people and tag them in the hopes that they'll promote you, though. It's not a swap. That is not credible. People see through that. You are sharing your own insights and innovations and pointing back to them as your source of inspiration or learning. That's something that they can get behind sharing with their own audience. And don't forget about peers who are coming up alongside you, because big name folks don't always monitor their own social media or email. You may not always hear back from them when you cite them as a reference or a source of inspiration. But your peers are a different story. They may not have a huge audience, but they're just as sincere about growing their audience as you are. And if you know, like, and trust one another, you'll have an ally as you come up in the business world. Dig your well before you're thirsty, as the saying goes. Make researching and citing your sources a habit. That will garner you a reputation for being a trustworthy person. And as your reputation grows, more people will want to lean on your reputation. And you'll be in a position to help them as much as they can help you. But you have to start now. Don't wait until you've got some big launch or offer that needs support. Start building those relationships now, well before you need to make the ask. And yes, if you're doing your own research, you can cite yourself as the source. Who knows? Maybe other people will start citing you in their work. Number 5, major press and media outlets. Platform outreach is a key part of my marketing strategy. I am a regular contributor to the Productive Flourishing blog, and I'm always on the lookout for podcasts and major media placements. The key is finding an angle for your story that fits what they need at the time, and then to keep following up appropriately. So here's an example. The Awarepreneurs podcast is hosted by my friend and colleague, Paul Zelizer. And when it first launched, I was super excited because I thought I had something useful to contribute with my Creative Freedom Incubator concept. Paul turned me down. I even tweaked my approach and pitched him again, and I was still denied. But a year later, he came back to me and asked me to talk to his audience. What had changed? Well, folks in his audience had been regularly talking about pricing models and alternatives to the traditional approaches. So Paul reached out to me asking me to share my experiences on his podcast. But what if you don't think you have a unique angle yet? Media releases, which can be a form of free advertising for your company depending on where you live. So let's say you've got an upcoming event or local happening. You send a short email to the local journalist that covers things like that with a media release, which is a bit like a news article that tells them all the details. Written a bit like a news article with a couple of quotes that they can use in the write-up, and then voila, instant advertising. And again, depending on where you live, they might even come out and cover the event for a follow-up piece on their platform. This works great in smaller towns where the local news feed isn't huge, but it also works in larger areas when you connect with the right journalists. When I ran my candle company, the local music journalist was also required to do occasional posts for the local people section of the paper. He and I first connected about music, but because he didn't cover the local music scene, there wasn't a fit. So later, he found out that I made candles out of my house, so he did an entire feature about my candle company. Cover page, 2-page spread, free advertising for my business, and a compelling human interest story to boot. Now, I didn't sell a lot of records, but I sold a heap of candles. Which brings me to my final point about journalists and media outposts. Build relationships with journalists and media outlets, and you'll position yourself as a go-to expert and a regular contributor for their future work. Take it away, Zach. MC Mr. Napkins.
S5E3 Oh, street cred. Ooh, Jim Jim Jow, a Jim a Jim Jow. Street cred. Ooh, street cred. Ooh, dim 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 dim. Street cred. Ooh, yabba dabba 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 bum bum.
5 ways to ethically build your credibility, even if you're just getting started. Some are easier than others, but all of them can work if you're willing to do the work. If you're already doing one or more of these regularly, let us know about it. Share your results and be part of our rising tide. Speaking of which, I hope you're taking advantage of everything that we have to offer at Creative Freedom HQ. Check out the Rising Tide link on my website to get free access. That's right, free access today. And if you liked this episode, help us make a bigger impact in the world. Support our Patreon campaign or subscribe. Share us around with your friends and your colleagues. Your help makes a big difference, more than you could ever know. We're one of the fastest growing shows for creative entrepreneurs because of you. So thank you. Next time, we're going to be talking about what it really takes to build a loyal following. I hope you'll join me. And until then, for more inspiration and education to help you end the hustle, own your dreams without selling your soul, come see what's shaking over at LisaRobbinYoung.com. You know you want to.